Welcome back to the World Revolution News. My name is Thomas Jefferson and today is October 21st, 2011. Today on our 20th episode we follow up on the Greece protest that has turned into the largest movement to date, in the birthplace of democracy. Here again is Emily Pankhurst with more from Europe.
First, the police protested with firefighters on Monday. The remainder of Greece workers began their 48-hour general strike on Wednesday, and Greek daily newspaper Telnia has dubbed it the mother of all strikes. In the largest protests to date, thousands of Greeks stormed the parliament, in protest of the latest round of austerity measures. The austerity measures are required by the EU, IMF, and European Central Bank, for any additional bailout loans. Under pressure from the banking cartel, Greece's government submitted legislation that would further cut public sector jobs and wages for 30,000 people, slash pensions for high-income earners, cut collective bargaining rights for workers, and even enact new taxes, among other things. In Wednesday's walkout, which drew more than 100,000 people to the streets of central Athens, a 24-hour demonstration occurred by the likes of all occupations. They had grinded Greece to a halt. Central Athens remained heavily guarded by thousands of police, who set up metal barricades around Parliament, to stop protesters from forming a human chain, and preventing legislators from entering the building. In the city of Thessaloniki, where 15,000 gathered, protesters smashed the facades of about 10 shops that defied the strike, and remained open, as well as 5 banks. Clashes between protesters broke out after hundreds of self-styled anarchist youths attempted to force their way through a peaceful protest to the Parliament building. The communist protesters, numbering in the thousands, clashed with the youth, and chased them across the city's main Syntagma Square, beating them with sticks. The anarchists fought back with hurling rocks and petrol bombs. Riot police then entered the square to halt the fight. There were reports of several injuries. But 99% of protesters were non-violent the entire time. Late Wednesday, Parliament approved in a preliminary vote the legislation in what is seen as a positive development, for the final passage of the austerity bill, expected to take place the next day. At stake is an €8 billion package from the European Union, and the IMF, that Greece needs in the next few weeks. Without it, the government has said it will run out of money by mid-November. Greece was hit by a second day of strikes and protests yesterday, with thousands of people gathered outside Parliament. Just ahead of a vote on a new package of unpopular taxes and spending cuts, aimed at avoiding a debt default. For the second day all central and local government offices were closed, transport services were disrupted, and hospitals were operating at minimum staff levels. Public servants ranging from tax collectors to teachers walked off the job. When a general strike happens, it shuts down everything, and this is not the first general strike to take place in Greece, nor will it be the last. Spain has had a few too. General strikes have actually occurred since 494 BC, with the Romans declaring secessio plebis, which the plebs would simply abandon the city en masse, and leave the patrician order to themselves. And don't think this will not happen in the US, as it already has many times, beginning with the Great Upheaval in the summer of 1877. When railroad workers striked against wage cuts, it spread from the East Coast to Chicago and St. Louis, and entire communities joined in, challenging the power not only of railroads, but also of the banks. And ultimately, even local and state governments. Followed with general strikes with Seattle in 1919, and Minneapolis, and San Francisco general strikes of 1934. General strikes will be happening at an accelerated rate everywhere, as more austerity measures will be implemented around the world. On a late side note, British inflation has hit a 3-year high. Bills for gas, electricity, and other fuels rose 18.3% on the year in September, while transport costs were up 12.8%. And food prices were 6% higher than last year. The Bank of England has launched a second round of quantitative easing, pumping £75 billion into the economy. Also, as reported last Saturday on October the 15th, 82 countries, and over 1,000 cities worldwide, stood in solidarity.
More and more people have realized that it's the United Banking Cartel versus us, and not me versus you, for we are the many, and they are the few.
Have a good weekend everyone, and thanks for watching the World Revolution News.